the safest place for a non-believer is the church.
Should be.
Should be.
Place should be.
Okay. Hey, Katelyn.
Hey, Luke.
Did you see what people are paying for community recently?
Paying for community?
They're paying for community. So,
No.
okay, wait, get this before we jump in.
Uh-huh.
You got to hear this. 17% of Americans said in a recent survey that they have 0 friends, which is maybe one of the saddest statistics that I will ever share on this podcast.
I believe that. Yep.
You believe that?
Oh, I believe
But
it.
you have friends, right?
Not here.
Not in this room?
Moving to Nashville has been the loneliest years of my life.
Wow.
I haven't paid for community, but I have downloaded apps to try to find friends.
Okay.
I have.
Well, let's unpack that for a second. Yeah, so apparently in 1990, only 1%
Yeah.
in that same survey said they didn't have friends. And the average membership due for a community-only organization is $200 a month.
Woo! I don't think I'd pay that for a friend. I mean, I've been lonely, but
I mean, I don't know if anybody listening to this was in
Wow.
Greek life in college, but
yeah.
I always joke those people paid for friends. So
That's awesome.
maybe we've been paying for
Maybe,
friends for a lot
maybe.
longer in our
Yeah,
lives, but
yeah. If not monetarily.
yes. So,
Yeah. Well, Luke,
hey, Katelyn.
do you know, I have a stat to share too. What percentage of unchurched people say they would come to church if someone invited them, if a friend invited them to church?
Unchurched people, what percentage would come? 10%.
56%.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I didn't know people were paying $200 for making friends, but I knew 50% of people said
10% is what everybody thinks, which is why they don't ask,
yeah,
right?
Right? Because everyone thinks there's a stigma about,
I know.
unchurched people are like, I don't want to go to church. I'm going to be convicted. They're going to say what I'm wearing is wrong.
I
And,
catch
yeah.
it myself not asking someone if they want to come to church because I put a reason for
Right?
them in their mind that
Yeah.
they never said. So
It's like you're
it's-
catastrophically thinking
Yeah.
of their worst case
I just finished the
scenario for
conversation
them.
before we ever have it.
Yeah. No, that's like a high number to think they would come if only their friend who went to church invited them.
Yeah. So why don't more people invite
Yeah.
people to church?
We all hate not being invited to the party, even if we're going to say no, but we still want the invite.
So it's funny that we're talking about this because obviously you said coming here has been lonely.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are living in like the loneliest generation in history.
Yeah.
And, Starbucks was kind of onto this years and years ago, the whole Roy Oldenburg concept of the third place. You're familiar with this?
No.
So like the first place is home, the second place is work, but like
Oh, okay.
there is a third place that
That makes
like you would
sense.
go and hang out.
Mm.
And Starbucks was trying for a long time to kind of like,
Because we had movie theaters in the mall, then it was Starbucks kind of.
they were trying to be this
coffee
place to just go and have community. And
shops.
it's funny because I think as I'm processing some of this, like people are paying $200 a month or they're going to the Starbucks, which it can't be Starbucks, right? Because all the Starbucks near me, they've gotten rid of all their chairs. It's like walk-in only. So
Oh
you
my
obviously don't
gosh.
want to be that to be
Yeah.
the
Mobile
third place.
order only kind of stuff.
But what if this
Yeah.
is something that the church can be? What if this is, and I think the church historically has been it. I think we kind of had a falling out there. But what if the church is the place that like community comes and hangs and dwells?
That is so interesting because as you say, the Starbucks thing, I think there is a race to see who can be the next place for community.
Yeah.
There's gyms, they're called like life gyms or something, exorbitant amount of money, but they have everything you need and it's all about building community. So that's your third place.
Yeah.
You're not at work, you're not at home, then you're at this gym. They have saunas, they have movie theaters there, but it's like you paid to be part of this community.
And they need a really
of
good playground
healthy
for
people.
kids.
And they have them. Yeah. It's for
Dang.
families to go.
I mean, I think about all the churches that we've hosted Salt Conference at. And, Brentwood Baptist, Long Hollow Baptist, Irving Bible, like all of them have such good community hubs.
Yeah.
And then you think of like other churches like Watermark Church or Saddleback, like where their entire campus is kind of designed and developed around what would community or regular hangouts look like.
That's very intriguing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a race for that place.
Yeah.
Of what's your place number 3?
Well,
Or third place. That's what you called it? Third place?
third place, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you feel lonely, maybe you need to invite a friend to church is maybe where I feel like we're
Apparently,
going here, but-
there's a 50% chance, 56% chance they'll say yes.
So this past year at conference, one of the things that was really encouraging was we had Miles McPherson, senior pastor of the Rock Church in San Diego, and he got a chance to come and speak and really pour into the creative community. And we did a conversation, podcast recording, conversation interview, whatever you call that, backstage.
Yeah.
And I want to play part of that because I think he's going to unpack some of this that a lot of what we are watching society sort of pay for, we as the church can be. And I think there's also something interesting here as he unpacks kind of what for creative, technical production ministry specifically can kind of unpack. So let's take a look at this and then we can talk about more. You've talked about the safest place for a non-believer is the church.
Should be.
Should be.
Place should be.
Okay.
You know, I was at a church last week, Jubilee Christian in Boston, Matthew Thompson, give you a shout out, and they had 12 hours of prayer, and 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And right around 6 o'clock, there was a time in the morning, I got to pray with some people that were at the stage. And I went up to people, and everybody went behind was like, do you need prayer? Yes. Do you need prayer? Yes. Just horrible, horrible things have happened to these people. And one young lady, I prayed for her, she just put her head on my shoulder, like, started crying. The church should be the place where anybody can come and receive hope beyond hope and beyond hopelessness. And that's what the church should be. Ironically, I say should, because a lot of times it's not. We're yelling at people, we're accusing people, you know, we're being as divisive as the world.
Yeah.
But it should be a place where everybody can come and bring their junk to the altar and be accepted and loved into a new life.
I also think I was sitting with a guy just the other day and we were talking about this idea of doing church or attending church and building church. How does that play into this idea of like non-Christians, it should be the safest place? I mean, you just talk about like we want to put all these divisive phrases out, but how do we build a culture? How do we build a church that makes it the safest space?
Yeah, you know, we at Rock Church San Diego are working on developing an evangelistic culture. And it has several components. One is that non-Christians feel comfortable, and not that they feel approved of, because, you know, no sin is approved of, but they feel loved. And the church is one of the only institutions created for people not in it. Jesus died for people that weren't Christian, right?
Yeah.
So he created the church for people not in it. So,
All of us are unchurched at one point.
right.
Yeah.
So how can we keep that front door open to those people who are not yet in it?
Yeah.
And so we need to be remembering what it was like for us to not to know anything about Jesus, raising your hand in church, singing, you know, and, you know, all this different things we do in church. So I think we have to be sensitive to how to make things easily understandable for non-Christians, and then keep the pain of the world in front of the people in the church. A lot of times we want to talk Christian things and all the hope of God and everything's great. You know, and that's why we become phony in church. You know, everything's supposed to be fixed.
These Christianese statements.
Exactly, exactly. And it's easier when we do that. You know, it's a little messy when you talk about messy things and deal with messy people. But that's, you know, if you think about the temple in the Old Testament, can you imagine how much blood was there?
Yes. All the sacrifice.
It was messy.
Smelled awful. That's why they needed the incense.
It was messy. When church gets messy, we think something's wrong. And yeah, you know, people make mistakes that, you know, but it should never, once the church is, everything is smooth and clean, we're not doing our job.
Yeah.
You know, we have to keep the door open to non-believers, and that non-believers can say, I've done this, and I can go there to get help. Because that's what Jesus represents. Come to me, all you who labor, I'll give you rest. Anybody. And so we have to represent that.
That's so good. You know, Miles, so many of our community serves kind of behind the curtain, right? They're behind the scenes warriors for sort of the message of the local church, and I ultimately believe the gospel of Jesus. How do you think that those who serve behind the scenes can sort of see their role, see their staff position as or with evangelical purpose?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think their culture in the church has to recognize them and their contribution as a critical. We can't do what we do without sound, light, video, graphics, and all the artistic people wearing all black all day. You know, they're in the shadows. It doesn't happen. And so I think the staff pastor acknowledged that in front of the church. Like every now and then I'll say, hey, everybody, there's people all around this room and upstairs, you don't never see that making this happen. Let's give them a hand. I think also for them to share their faith on their own. I think all the staff needs to share their faith on their own.
Is that something you're able to encourage as senior pastor to say, hey, lead team, I want everybody, like you've talked about discipleship training. I want everybody in this church to be ready. What does that look like in the creative technical realm, right? They're not necessarily a disciple making ministry, at least on paper, but I think you would argue they
Well,
can be.
we're all should be in the disciple making.
It's a great commission.
Yeah, it's a great
The
commission.
pastoral commission.
Exactly. And even as an evangelist, which I would say, my job is to equip the saints to do the work of the ministry. So my job is to equip people to do evangelism. And so everybody should share their faith. I mean, it's almost like everybody in your church, sound like video people, the old lady sitting in the front, whatever. If they met a celebrity, they would tell everybody.
Yeah.
Well, we met the biggest celebrity ever in the history of the.
I met the Pope or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. But Jesus is bigger than all that.
Yeah.
So why aren't we telling people?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not complicated.
So good. Yeah.
And so they need to have that same mission. At our staff meetings every week, we will have what we call our ministry to train people to share their faith is called Just One. You can go to lovejustone.com. It's free, take the training, lovejustone.com. And so we have testimonies at our staff meeting of a Just One testimony. Who would you lead to the Lord? And so someone from staff will come up, and it's open to the whole staff. Here's who I led to the Lord, and here's the story. On Sunday, we have a testimony of someone who got saved. Every Sunday, every campus. And so people have it in front of them constantly, this idea of conversion and people's miraculous, amazing, crazy stories that only God can do.
Yeah.
And so we want to keep that in front of people.
How do you help your staff realize it doesn't always have to be a crazy, miraculous story of turnaround, right? Like the ordinary turnaround, someone who just was wondering, but maybe had lived a decent life and wasn't like so far from God,
Right.
but like almost like right on the line, but
Right.
just been missing it. How do you also celebrate those wins? Because I have to imagine as a pastor, you're a leadership guru, you're a guy who's all about culture. I've heard from others, like you champion ideas and you're like, let's put wind under that.
Mm.
What you're doing on Sunday, Miles, I have to imagine is celebrating the win. You're saying we're putting in front of everybody, this is what matters to the Rock Church. Here's how we're celebrating that. How do you do that on the not so over the top conversions or transitions?
Yeah. Your testimony, your I was blind, now I see testimony is simply a testimony of the faithfulness of God.
Yeah, totally.
Whatever that
It's not
looks
about
like.
us.
Right. It's not about did you do drugs or were you suicidal. It's, I was lost. And I was in a Christian home. This is not me, but it's hypothetical. Everything was great. And there was something missing.
Yeah. And that was my story.
And then God saved me. And now that's amazing.
Yes.
Right. And so God works. And so we just keep all those types of testimonies in front of people. But at the end of the day, it's really about the faithfulness of God.
Oh, I think Miles has so much good stuff to share, and we are going to be sharing his full interview and the full discussion that you two had. So you guys will want to be part of that. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you can see that. And we've had so many amazing conversations with people this year and previous years. And we have people coming to teach our community specifically on certain topics and have these conversations. So if you're not part of the SALT community, please join. Go to saltcommunity.com. We've got free memberships. We've got some paid versions. If you want to really deep dive, have monthly Zoom calls with us, get the really hard stuff, the training that you need, the training for your team, and be part of these conversations, that's the place to go.
Yeah, you can also create custom training sort of pipelines for your team.
Yeah.
So you can go get all these little like modules and elements and tie it all together and then basically kind of build something custom for your audio team or your leadership team or your worship team. And we've seen churches do that.
Yeah, it's not singular learning. You're learning with your team. You're having these conversations with your team.
We are
and
better
us.
together.
We are.
Yeah. And our whole heart at SALT has been to essentially let the church equip the church. And so we love bringing guys like Miles in. We love bringing people like Cass Langdon and Wade Joy, people who have been in our community, all these voices you've heard over the last couple episodes. They're church people, and they want to come alongside the church and help it be better, stronger, better, faster, stronger. I just went there for the church to be more effective in reaching people in our communities. And I love what Miles says of like it needs to be the safest space for a non-believer. And I'm not sure that's our case, but I think we in our ministries could make it.
Well, and better together. It's funny because you say that, and I have seen this shift in church culture from when I was a kid till now, where it used to be, come be better, like come be part of the church, help make the church better, volunteer, but only if you're an established Christian, you've been attending this church for a while, only then can you be part of the serve team. Whereas now I feel like the call to action is you're new here, join to volunteer. And it's not, just to serve the church because we need more people. Like, yeah, sometimes certain ministries need that. But the real call is you're going to build community. You're going to make friends by serving on a team.
100%.
And I just think Miles called that out so well of like, that is where these unchurched people can come to learn about faith, about Christianity. And, admittedly, I've been on a production team as a volunteer. I am maybe not I would not consider myself the best person to be like, oh, you're brand new to the faith. Let me teach you everything you need to know. But it's not that kind of discussion with them. It's learning and growing and creating relationships and having those conversations as you're serving together.
Yeah.
But I think, and you can speak into this, the production teams are a very unique space that I think a lot of unchurched people seem to go when they start attending church and want to get involved and want to grow, but they're not sure where they fit.
100%. And I think that there, outside of maybe worship and production, there is no volunteer team, in my opinion, in the greater church ecosystem that has an opportunity to build a stronger community, because you truly are coming together and pulling something off collectively.
Together, yeah.
You are collaborating together to execute something, and that naturally causes community, right?
Yeah. Especially that pride of excellence. Oh, that was a great service.
Pride, the trauma of we just endured something hard together, right? Both of those will be glue that sort of brings you together. I mean, I think about this in my own church, which isn't overly technical, and I really haven't wanted to kind of sign up and be a part of tech because that's what I do every single day. But I'm really engaged with the men's ministry and children's ministry. But men's ministry, we were trying to launch something, and I think about this of like even just the process of planning something. I got to know these like 8 or 9 guys super well, and it's some of the strongest friendships I have now. And to your point, it's because I chose to sign up and serve in some way and give of my time and sacrifice somewhere, and so it meant something.
Yeah.
But that also meant that 7 others met that same service in that sacrifice. And so we came together over that. But I think production, it's actually one of maybe the safest places to invite unchurched people to feel safe, because we're not asking you to go and teach a Bible study. We're not asking you to go and preach the gospel message that you may not fully know, believe, or validate, with your own evidence in your life yourselves. We don't need you to be an apologetics professor to be a camera operator, right?
Oh, yeah.
We need you to maybe have a love or a desire to love Christ the way that we want everybody in our church to. But what a great invitation, and what a great opportunity to say, hey, would you be a part of building God's church? And I have seen this in my own life, but the more that I am invited in to serve, the more I grow closer to Christ, because I realize, wow, he can use my messed up, broken self to somehow bring glory back to his kingdom. And when he uses me, I just grow closer to him.
My husband and I both, I would say, reflect that. One of the churches we went to, we were new, hadn't built community yet in that town that we lived in. I'm not talking about Nashville because this was before then, but we hadn't served in a church just because of work schedules. And we thought, how are we going to build community if we don't invest in a community as well? And that was our own conviction. And so we volunteered in the places that we felt like we could be a good fit. And we had never had such a strong community as that church that we attended. And it's funny because the small group that we were part of, none of them served in the same areas, but we all served at our church. And so we had our little production team that we volunteered with, and we connected and jived with them. Then we go to small group and we'd all talk about how Sunday went, but from all these different perspectives. Cool. And you're right. Like, we felt deeper in our relationships. We didn't feel as lonely. We felt connected, but also we wanted to grow in our own faith so that, it was iron sharpening iron in a lot of ways.
And when you're serving in something like production together, you have a common interest in that area, which is what, I'll never forget a pastor years ago said, friendship requires time together with someone, common mutual time at the same time, right? Because like if you can't be friends with someone who has like an exact opposite schedule of you, and a common point of interest, something that you can use as the jumping point to talk. And he used that actually to then later say, that's actually also what relationship with God looks like. You need to have time with him, and you need to have common interest, aka his word. So like as you dive into his word and have more interest. But it's something interesting when you unpack that and you go, if you serve on the production team, well, maybe you both have an interest in technology. Maybe you both have an interest in, engineering or solving problems or being a part of the behind the scenes, serving in the shadows. And I think that, one thing that I'm thinking about as you're saying this is like, that phrase, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to go now. Yeah. It's like everybody wants a friend. They just don't want to do the hard work to get the friend.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to be a friend to someone else. That, one of the things that like I think about a lot of times in my own life is sometimes I'll get offended when I'm like, man, I haven't ever been invited to go do coffee, or this guy's never asked me to go to lunch. And like, you'll hear a person that you want to be friends with or whatnot say something like that. Like, oh, it's just a coffee with this guy. And you're like, I've never been asked. And then I have to immediately flip that and go, wait a minute. Have I asked him?
Them? Oh my gosh. I went to a women's conference. It was like a 2-day retreat, not retreat. We all are home and just, whatever. It was a conference.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about that. They like flipped the script. I think every woman in the room was like, oh, this is not what I expected.
Yeah.
We expect to be warm, fuzzy, flowers, pink, whatever. The traditional idea. But it was
someone
all
really important in our faith that said,
Yeah.
do unto others like you would have done unto you.
Yeah. It was all about, you all want that person to come up to you and say, who are you? Do you need a friend? Let's make a connection. How often are you doing that for others?
And the people that make you feel the warmest are the people who are the most outspoken. Hey, come be a part. They're very inviting. And so it's like, why don't we become that person?
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of helps me unpack something that like my wife and I have talked a lot about. It started because a friend of mine said something in a conversation that stood out. Mm-hmm. And they said this. They said, when I was growing up, my parents always left the front door unlocked. So neighbors would come over, walk in, ask for a couple of eggs, see how your day's going. And she was catching herself because she says, but now I catch myself. This isn't my wife. This is my friend. She says, I catch myself always checking that the front door is locked.
Uh-huh.
And she then said, and the sad part is I haven't knocked on the front door of my neighbors for months, if not years. Mm. And my wife and I talk about this a lot because we want, and we feel like as Christians, we're called not only to set the table metaphorically. I think, side tangent real quick, if you, and I taught about this, the last keynote I did at SALT, it was 2018, by the way. And one of my whole message points was essentially the idea that like when you look at the pictures of the gospel throughout all of Scripture, Old Testament and New, it's not the cross. The repeating picture in Scripture is the table. From the beginning to the very end, it starts at a table, it ends at a table. Jesus had so many powerful moments at a table. There are so many pictures of tables all throughout Scripture. Yeah. And it's this idea of, we are called to actually commune with one another. I think that's why communion is such a powerful sort of practice in the Christian faith. But we talk about this a lot, that like, we want to build community and we want our kids to be comfortable knocking on a stranger's door.
Mm-hmm. Not only to do hard things, learn to be healthy adults in their adult life.
We want them to be good neighbors.
Just to be good neighbors.
I mean, let me ask this question.
To know who you live next to. Yeah.
When was the last time someone knocked on your door and it wasn't a door-to-door salesman?
Oh my word. It was a neighbor, and it was 6 months after we bought our house, which was about 1.5 years ago now. And we were terrified.
Yeah, who's knocking on our door?
Who is this? Yeah. Like my dog was barking.
No one's supposed to be here.
I was like, Tim, are you dressed? It was like 9 a.m. in the morning on a weekend. I was like, husband, can you get the door? No, can you get the door? Like, we didn't know what to do. And then we realized I heard the whole conversation. So then we were really embarrassed. And,
oh, that's funny.
But no, it's scary. There's so many jokes about how we hide and we turn off the lights and we're like, hide from the doorman.
I mean, just the other night, like a door-to-door, I let my dog out the front yard and I saw a door-to-door salesman walking.
I'm surprised we still have door-to-door salesmen.
Oh, they come to my house all the time.
Oh gosh.
And I literally
Google
came
Fiber.
inside and I was like, honey, there's a door-to-door salesman about to come. Let's just not answer the door, right? So it's like, I even like prepped myself.
Okay. Conviction here. Evangelizing to people is Miles' message. Why aren't you talking to your door-to-door salesman?
Oh, because he just makes me so uncomfortable. I don't know. But I don't know. Here's how we wanted to flip the script with our kids. Every Christmas, this is a tradition we want to make in our house, and we've done it so many times, or so many years so far with our kids, but we bake cookies as a family. We put them in all these tins, and we make a tin for everyone on our street. So we live on kind of a cul-de-sac. I'm going to guess there's probably 10 to 15 homes on our street, and it's kind of a small little portion. And so we do all this, and then the last couple of years, I've taken the kids in December at dusk, and basically we knock on their doors and we say Merry Christmas.
At dusk?
Yeah. I mean, that's
3:00 on December.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but we go and knock on their door, and it's amazing because they all come to the door very like defenses up. They're like, "Excuse me, what do you want?" Like,
yeah,
like
don't
my dog
open
run
the screen
out.
door.
Like, yeah,
and
when they see that we want nothing of them, but we want the simple hello, we want to give them some joy. We call it Operation Joy, and so the operation is, let's drop some joy in their lives. But we want to not just leave it at their door. We want to actually have a conversation. And we always leave them our Christmas card. And that way, like, they know that, like, we love them, we care about them, but we're also neighbors. And it is amazing the smile that they see. And it's also amazing the joy that my girls have received from this practice. Yeah. And I don't know, I just think about this, like, I think about the fact that, 2/3 or 1/3 of Americans like are not comfortable like knocking on someone else's door. It's funny because even if you look at this generationally, 1 in 5 boomers are uncomfortable reaching out, right? That's 1 in 5. So 4 or 5 are comfortable reaching out. But you look at Gen Z, they don't even feel like more than half of Gen Z doesn't feel comfortable knocking on their own neighbor's door.
Don't even ask them about a phone call.
Yeah. We're not going there. We're just talking about knocking on doors.
Whole another episode again. Yeah.
And so it's like, this is interesting too. Like the share of Americans who spend a social evening with their neighbor at least once a month fell from 44% in 1974 to 20%. 28% in 2022. And that's crazy when you think about that. So I don't know. I just sit here and go, if 53% of people say that small, repeated, mundane tasks help them feel more engaged, more belong, or like they belong somewhere, and they sense this joy, I actually think that like sometimes we get to our own mind where we'll go, well, I need to throw a block party, or I need to have like a big gathering.
We make it too big.
No, you just need to have a simple, insert lame reason to ring the doorbell, right? Go bake some cookies. I'm telling you, just steal this idea, try it on your neighbors, and be amazed at what sort of literal doors and figurative doors begin to open up.
Taking it down one more step, a letter in the mailbox, handwritten. I'm your neighbor. I've lived here X many years. Sorry, we've never talked. If you ever need that cup of sugar or teaspoon of salt.
So that exact thing happened to my wife.
Oh, yeah?
When we first had gotten married, we had just had a baby. And one of the neighbors put a note in our mailbox, and it's one of my wife's closest friends here. And all the letter said was, "Hey, I noticed you just had a baby. I'm sorry if that's a creeper thing, but I wanted to put a letter in the mail.
Just put it out there.
Here's my cell phone number. I'd love to have, play date or something." And they ended up.
And now they're good friends.
They're now great friends. Okay. Well, my wife learned that she's a devout Christian. They ended up having Bible studies during kids' naps. And because she was literally across the street, she could put her, baby monitor on and walk across the street. And they had deep, rich discussions, studied the whole book of Revelation. So
it's funny because I think most people, I saw a Facebook post go viral like 10 years ago about this. We're scared to reach out to the people we used to know to follow up because we're like, oh, it's been too long. I never said anything. Neither did they. We're scared to make that connection again, but we feel awful about it. And we sit in this guilt about it almost. And it's the same thing for neighbors and other people at our church.
But how refreshing if someone were to call you and they don't need something from you. They don't want something for you. They just...
How are you?
Yeah, how are you?
We haven't connected in so long.
Yeah, and that's really real, I think, for us because we live in Nashville, and I do think there's a lot of like, oh, we're friends with that person because they're going to get us something.
A lot of networking and connections.
Yeah, and being the music town, there's a lot of sort of like, I need your network, I need my connections, whatever. And so, man, how refreshing. I'm sure there's people listening to this that live in Kansas. I don't know. And they're like, we do that all the time, Luke,
Yeah. Well, and I want to give the challenge too. We talked about production teams being almost the segue for unchurched people. You don't have to speak the Christianese.
Yep.
You don't have to use that lingo. That's not what's important. That's why having a shared interest helps because they have something to talk about with you. It's not like, what do we talk about? What do we do? Like you already have that shared interest. Yep. You've made that connection. But also, what are you doing outside of your church to meet those unchurched people? Sometimes we're too siloed in our church that we don't have that one unchurched friend to invite.
Yeah.
So maybe that's my challenge for the day is go make a friend who doesn't go to church so you can invite them to church because they'll probably say yes.
And my challenge is don't just sit here listening to this or watching this and go, man, that is such a good idea. I should do that. Because someone's saying that
leave
right
it there. Yeah, no.
Go do it. Text your spouse, text a friend, ask a coworker to go, okay, can you keep me accountable? We want to do this in the next 7 days. I mean, you do this at our organization. You always say, what's the one thing that you want to get done this week? Or what's the one thing you want to get done today?
And then there's the follow-up. Did it get done?
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, we love having you guys a part of this. And this is, one of many. If this is your very first episode, welcome. We love church creatives, church community, church technicians, and church worship leaders. And we want to build a community that comes alongside one another to say, how do we be more effective in reaching our community? So we'd love for you to join. Make sure you like, you comment, you save, you subscribe, you share this, something about this podcast. And make sure you go check out saltcommunity.com to kind of learn about all of our other resources. And we will see you guys next week.